You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Batman number 147 is written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Jorge Jimenez, Timon Moret, and Clayton Coles. And we're going to continue the Zorn R. Failsafe Batman.
What a weird Batman.
As he tries to convince everybody that he's really Batman, though. In this
Does he have
issue,
to?
Everybody in Gotham are so ridiculously stupid. At one point, you do have Amanda Waller in this as well, and some people are like, oh my God, why Amanda Waller? But we are heading towards a big event. I get it. But she has a task force that is raiding the Wayne now Vandal Savage mansion.
The Savage Manor.
To get Batman, but these yucks think, oh my God, the Vandal Savage is the Batman. And so ridiculous.
It's just such weird ideas thrown out here. Just the idea that you're going to make Vandal Savage the police commissioner, never bring up Renee Montoya once, especially with what she's doing, like, you know, continuing on to Ram V's Detective Comics run, which is supposed to take place in the future. Yeah, she's doing more question stuff there, but it feels like you should have had her here, even a Jim Gordon just talking about the commissioner aspect, but just Vandal Savage, like, okay, we got Batman doing a police state, crime's completely down, but now Vandal Savage, new police commissioner, like, I don't trust these vigilantes, we got to shut them down, like, who you weren't voted for, but who's going to side with who at this point? The new police commissioner, whose actual name is Vandal Savage, or Batman, who's finally cleaning up the streets.
Yeah, and so with that too, and you have one guy get up. This guy doesn't want any parts of the Vandal Savage.
Johnny Hughes. He was a burglar.
Yeah, Johnny Hughes, and Batman stuffs that. But in the meantime, where I get the idea, and we've had this deal with Zorn R. He ends up, he's not going to kill people, yet people keep forgetting the idea that
the pure mission of Batman.
He's the pure mission of Batman without kind of the morality overall, but still has that whole coat. But in that, when I think of what platform is Vandal Savage running on of the idea I'm going to be commissioner? Because you end up having Nakano kind of working. There's people even behind the scenes doing this. But what is he going to do as commissioner? Is he now going to knock heads? You're still dealing with the same, police force and the same robot Batman going. It almost feels like it's just for show. But in the meantime, might be in line with maybe what Zorn R wants. Maybe Vandal Savage, after all this, becomes this great commissioner that's like, I want to have this place cleaned up because you have that weird play. But what it really does,
but he's already running on the anti-vigilante stance, though. And I say running, but he's already elected.
In that, where I said, what really got me thinking when you were talking about it, it would have made sense if we find out Montoya's in the personal prison of the Zorn R Batman, because that would mean she's out of the way. But that wouldn't make sense. So what is Montoya doing? And really, what does it do to have Vandal Savage as the thing, except to say no vigilantes, which we've seen a million times, and in the meantime, it's a robot Batman. Well, I mean, we know that, right?
It's such crazy. A weird idea for what's going to come, because the Zorn R Batman, the failsafe robot version that he is building Amazo robots. He plans on putting the personalities of the Batman throughout the multiverse, the Zorn R personalities that somehow he put into them as they crush. God, it makes no sense. But he collected all the Zorn R personalities. He put them in his Amazo robots now. He's going to have an army of Amazo Batman robots running across Gotham. But I don't know what Vandal Savage is going to do for this, because the whole point is we're going to get to the place in Absolute Power where Zorn R is going to work with Amanda Waller because they both want the same thing. So what's the bad aspect of this? Because Amanda Waller, she wants to shut down the superheroes because they're no good. They have powers. They can lord it over us. There's all this stuff. It needs to be humans helping humans. But obviously Batman's a human. You want to have this, but you can't have bad PR in Gotham. And then Amanda Waller saying, no, we like this guy. We're going to do some shit. But fuck them
there's
heroes.
Weird things, right? And we talked about this on our Patreon Spotlight over our Patreon at patreon.com/weirdscience. But besides, we didn't really mention the idea of what these Amazo personas are. When you go and see them, I thought at one point they were, it's just, then you start looking, I'm like, I don't know who these smackasses are in here. And even so, the idea that a Zorn R failsafe robot Batman, who is trying to convince everybody around him, hey, I'm actually Batman. Yeah, I had some problems with Bruce Wayne. I ended up having my mind. But the citizens of Gotham, what they are about to get is exactly what they got with failsafe. They are about to get hit by an army of Amazo. It's just a robot uprising again.
Just like we had in the first arc.
Yeah. And so how could you be somebody who lives in Gotham and like, man, I like this.
Here we go again.
Yeah, oh my God. Like all of a sudden, it's a robot army. And this is where Damian starts to think. And Damian, a lot of people, me included, are like, come on, Damian, you should know better than this. But I think
it's City of Bane, Fierce State, and then the Joker War all over again, even the Gotham War.
And I get the play, and some of these things don't have more room. Maybe they could. I get the idea that Damian Wayne, he just wants his daddy.
Papa,
he wants his daddy. So when
I want to do the Batman and Robins with you, and you're finally doing it right, Papa.
Yeah, so when you have a Batman robot, is there an RFL, say Batman robot, who
I love you, son.
hard on crime. Yeah, that's all I can think. I wish that this wasn't, even when you do have them talk, it isn't that way.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
my favorite son, Damian's. And he's like, man, I wanted to hear those words for so long. Not really through a speech synthesizer, but still, I'll do it. But he
I just want to grab some Vicky dialogue from Small Wonder as, the Zuranar failsafe Batman voice.
It's a living. Man, is that what she says? You're smoking. Let me pour water on you. I'll put you out. That's the only joke I have with Small Wonder, which nobody will get anyway. But
No.
Damian then sees the Amazo army and starts to finally
Papa,
put things
we cannot
together.
trust the Amazos. I don't think you're on the up and up. And with the ideas you tell me, you must be Zuranar.
Yeah, he realizes it and attacks. He goes after, again, Damian I didn't even say this in our Patreon spotlight either, like Damian might be a little smarter of saying, oh, I think this is a great idea, Papa. Let me
Code
go
Red,
over
Code Red
here.
Best Family.
Yeah, he's gonna call him in. Like, don't react like this and try to attack a robot that you see and know that you can't take down. He ends up being pretty much taken down by crazy, tentacle fingers, right? And when this happens, then you have a weird progression. We're not going to get too into it, but we ended up struggling with this.
How can we get too into it when we don't know what happens with the progression?
And I don't, because a lot of people think that what we're seeing is Zora-Nar say, you know what? I always knew that Robins were a problem. That's why I had to make my own. And you get a robot Damian, but it doesn't look like the Amazos. It looks like, or did he throw Damian into this tube
and reprogram him?
Because you have from one page to the next,
and the progression was just bad.
Yeah, it seems, and it's weird. I think maybe we're supposed to have this as a wonder what it is.
When I first read it, I wanted to think that Damian Wayne is still subdued by tentacle fingers, and then he was shown his dark doppelganger clone that Zura-Nar was using through the Genesis program that Bruce Wayne originally put together.
Yeah, you're really throwing some things, especially when you have Amazo robots that you would think
we have
would be
Amazo
that,
robots. It could be a robot with flesh. It could be a T-800 Terminator for all I know. But then you and I started talking about it, and I have no idea what this could be through the progression.
It's such a weird progression.
It's one of those three things. It's either a Terminator, it's either a doppelganger clone, or we reprogram Damian Wayne's mind in a matter of a page turn.
And then I came up with the idea that it might even be a robot,
a new
Tim
costume.
Drake. And it's weird. I want him to come out of this. And if he is a robot, I want those Amazons to go, why the hell don't we look as realistic?
I want flesh. Give me flesh.
I need flesh. You don't want robots yelling that at you.
I can't feel.
So, in the meantime, there's a lot going on in this issue. You end up having Dr. Capdio. He seems to be, manipulating things, and he's kind of doing his own little game with Zora-Nar.
Seems like he wants to try to make Zora-Nar better than he is, even though he is the perfect Batman that, Capdio himself, through his training with Bruce Wayne, has made it that this would be the perfect persona of Batman in case his mind was ever altered. But even in the back of it, looks like he's going to be doing this with different rogues in Batman's gallery to try to make them the better versions of himself through the mind manipulation that he does.
Now, with Bruce Wayne, while this is going on, he is on the run. He's trying to get away from Zora-Nar, and he wants to kind of, get back to the basics. He does go to Happy Harbor. He has a little bit of mind movies where he remembers when Barry Allen showed him that back in the day, you could work together because Barry Allen's a chemist. And when Batman was trying to figure out how to make a smoke pellet.
New smoke, better ones, yeah.
Yeah, Barry Allen was there to say, oh, I already did this. I have this watch.
You're the Flash. Why did you do this? You don't need smoke bombs.
He first up seems like he's like Mr. Prankster. He's like, whoa, what? Smoke? Take that. It's like out of nowhere. Yeah. And then, but like you said, why would he be involved? He doesn't need smoke, but he just runs away. It's just good. But it's to show that Batman's thinking of back in the day, man, I was pretty good with teammates. Maybe these Robins.
Maybe I do need friends and family. Maybe I don't have to be a dark loner.
Yeah. So he goes off to this cabin that he says that he went and his dad made back in the day. And when they had to get away from the hustle and bustle of modern life, they'd go there. Even Alpha was there, but he used to take the Robins there. And he specifically thinks of Tim Drake training there. And it was a cool play. And it was a cool play. And I think it's Chip Zdarsky's favorite, like we said. He thinks back when Tim, one of the good lines is, oh man, it seemed like it was so easy for Dick Grayson. Is it going to be as easy for me? Will I be able to get will it be hard like Dick or easy. I don't know what he
Stop
said.
it.
But he ends up where he says, and actually Bruce, in a way that's not elevated the deal of, oh, you'll be good. He says, no, it was easy for Dick. It's always easy for Dick.
He was a natural. I was a natural. You're going to have to work at it. But the thing is, you're going to work at it to the point where you become as good as us.
Yeah, and he said he put in the work, and now Batman thinking. It's a lot of Batman thinking back at things and says, I'm old. I got this stupid robot hand. I'm going to have to work at it now, too. And he already starts to get inspired by Tim Drake. And then Tim Drake shows up. He figures it out. Some people were upset that, Dick Grayson would have figured it out. It makes sense for Tim. That's his thing. Give the guy something. He shows up with a piece of bread. We were laughing about it. He pulls this bread out of his book bag. Who's going to eat this? It's in a backpack. And I said, he's not going to make sandwiches. He's got salami in his pocket and got some cheese in his sock. But they go in, and as Batman is getting his costume together to fight, Tim's there with him, and they even say, Batman and Robin? Batman and Robin. It's a really nice moment. That's the best part of the deal, but also it makes me laugh because Tim Drake has to do the dishes. He's like doing the dishes. Batman don't do no dishes. But the big play at the end is to get this costume ready to go off then and fight. Go off and fight Zordon and take the monster down with seemingly the help of Tim Drake. At this moment, they don't know what is going on. We don't even know what's going on with Damian, for crying out loud. But we will end up seeing that. And unfortunately, I think that Eric has gone offline. So I'm going to finish this up. Eric on our Patreon Spotlight, he gave it a 6.5 because of some of the jumps in, it's weird. Having Vandal Savage there without having Renee Montoya felt weird. And that progression with Damian, we just couldn't get our minds around. And again, you may say, oh, no, it's definitely this. I don't think that we're supposed to really know fully, but it felt weird that way. I love the Tim Drake stuff. I thought that was great. I hope to God that Chip Zdarsky has the time and wants to have the space where he does something like this with Jason Todd. Because when Batman's talking to Tim, he specifically says, kind of a cop-out in my mind, saying, hey, everything bad that I did, that was Zornar. I'm the good guy in here. But boy, he screwed Jason Todd. So I hope he is able to get a hold of Jason and really apologize and work things out that way. I think the art is really good. I'm giving it a 7.5. Like I said, Eric gave it a 6.5. I'd love to hear what everybody else thought of it. In the meantime, I just wish Eric was able to finish it. But in the meantime, if you want to hear what ended up being over an hour review that me and Eric did, and we had a lot of fun with it as well and went deep dive into it, as well as talking about the not so good Birds of Prey issue this week. Issue, I believe, number 9 by Kelly Thompson. That is on our Patreon Spotlight. 2 books we talked about. Had some fun in between and whatnot. Almost 2-hour long podcast that you can go and check out at patreon.com/weirdscience. And if you haven't ever gone over there, you can go and sign up for a 7-day free trial that you will be able to listen to that Spotlight. Listen to last week's show that was Patreon only, and a ton of other shows. So check that out. I'll have links in the show notes. But thanks a lot. Eric says thanks a lot too, I think, but we will talk to you all later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.